Welcome back, everyone. My name is Mrs. C, and I'm an ELL teacher at Florida Connections Academy. Today, I'm going over the first grade science, Unit 7, Caring for Earth, Lesson 2, Inquiry Skill Investigate Portfolio Assignment. In this assignment, you'll be recreating an experiment and then completing a worksheet that needs to be turned in to your teacher. Let's look at your lesson. On the first page, it says, when you investigate, you make a plan and try it out. Today, you will complete an investigation to find out how much water two different kinds of soil will hold. So on the next page, there's a link here that has a lot of really important directions and a link here to the lab sheet that you will complete. Let's look at those directions together. Amy wants to plant a garden. She needs to know about the soil in her yard. She wonders how much water the soil will hold. So here is Amy's plan. This is what Amy is going to do. This is your example. Number 1, dig up soil from the garden. Number 2, put half cup of soil into a coffee filter. Here's a coffee filter right here if you're not sure what that is. Number 3, put coffee filter into a strainer on top of a bowl. So here's a picture of a strainer. Here's one right here as well. A strainer has tiny holes, so things like water and liquids can go through, but bigger things like soil will not. Number 4, pour 1 cup of water onto the soil. You can see they have a measuring cup right here. They've put 1 cup of water in there. And then wait 2 minutes to measure how much water is in the bowl. So you're going to hold this soil above your bowl for 2 minutes and let that water flow through to see how much ends up in the bowl and how much stays in the soil. Then number 6 says try to tell how much water is in the soil. To do that, you would have to take your measurement from your bowl and subtract it from that 1 cup of water that you started out with. So here's your list of materials that you'll need. You'll need a cup of water with a measuring cup, 2 kinds of soil. You can see they have something very sandy here and a darker, richer soil here, a coffee filter, a strainer, and a clear bowl. Now, you might not have all of these exact materials at home. That is okay. There are a few different ways to do this experiment. I wanted to show an example. Here's a video that I found online where they did a very similar experiment, but they used plastic cups with tiny holes that were punched in between. They used this cardboard in the middle with tiny holes. So you can see they put a cup underneath as well, and different amounts of water seeped through the soil depending on the type of soil. So this experiment is very similar, but it was done with different materials. You're able to do this experiment with different materials too, depending on what you have at home. Let's look at the worksheet that you're going to complete and turn in. Here's Amy's example again, and here's the list of materials that you will need. Use Amy's plan to find out how much water 2 kinds of soil will hold. Be careful, remember to wash your hands. Number 2 says how much water passes through each kind of soil. Well, I know my answer will be 1 cup or less, since I'm only pouring 1 cup of water into the soil. So you're going to need to answer this question based on the 2 types of soil you use. You might see that half a cup of water passes through, 3/4 of a cup of water passes through. Now, to measure that water, that goes to the bottom through the soil, you're going to need a measuring cup like this, right? You're going to need this measuring cup so you can measure how much liquid actually passes through that soil and ends up in your bowl. All right, so you're going to put your 2 answers here. Then down at the bottom, it says write about what you find out. So on this question, it wants you to compare those 2 types of soil. So when I look at this example, there's sand and there's really thick, rich soil. The way water passes through is going to be very different. So your example here might be you found out that water passed much more easily through sandy soil. Or you might have found out that not as much water was able to pass through the thick, rich soil. You are just going to observe what happens, compare the amount of water that flowed through each type of soil, and then just share some information that you learned from this experiment. Remember, if you don't have the exact materials, that is okay. You can use what you have at home. The most important part is just that you're testing those types of soil out. So remember, you want your two types of soil to be pretty different. If they're really similar, your results will be mostly the same. So you want to try to find two types that are pretty different. I know if I dig in my backyard, I can find that really sandy soil. And if I dig in my garden, I can usually find that rich, thick soil. All right, guys, I hope you have so much fun completing this experiment. Remember, when you're done, make sure you turn this worksheet into your teacher, and I know you will get an amazing grade. Thanks so much. See you next time. Goodbye.